Hello and good morning for some, good afternoon for others, and good evening for the rest of you. This is Phantom, and we are back with Chapter 8 For the Ones We Love, written by Flim Flam Brothers on FIM Fiction. And this is coming right off me recording the other one, so let's hope my voice doesn't fail me halfway through. If you want to read the story or follow along, it'll be in the description below, as well as a link to Brad's channel who helped me out in this chapter, as well as previous and future chapters. So let's get into it. This is Chapter 8, The Lovers. The heart wants what the heart wants. Luna brought herself closer to Spike as she kissed the dragon, her midnight blue lips against his. As Luna continued to frisk the dragon, there was only one thought that was going through Spike's head as Luna kissed him. This is wrong! This is wrong! This is so fucking wrong! The sun dragon felt something push against his lips. Is that her tongue? She's trying to stick her tongue in my mouth. No. He tried to resist, but the princess managed to wiggle her tongue into his mouth. Her sweet-tasting tongue sent a wave of guilty pleasure through his body. The princess parted herself from the dragon. Her breath was heavy as she looked erotically at the dragon.
You don't have to be so nervous, Spike.
She pecked her way down the dragon's neck. Sweat was dripping down the dragon as the princess continued to make her advances. It took every ounce of strength he had not to lose control and break down into an uncontrollable spasm. Well, this is great, Luna, but... He began, before being cut off by the princess's hoof.
Isn't it?
She positioned herself over the dragon, sitting softly on his chest, staring down at him with those beautiful dark eyes.
You know, Spike, most ponies would do anything to be in the situation you're in.
I'd do anything to get out of this, he thought. Well, that's great. I feel, He tried to think of a way to say it. Honored that you would let me court you, he said as he tried to slip away from the horny Luna. She put her hooves on his shoulders, pinning him to the bed as her starry mane brushed across his face.
Oh, Spike, you're going to do a lot more than court me tonight.
She pressed herself down on the dragon. Spike's heart skipped a beat as all his senses went into overdrive. His skin became extremely sensitive. The slightest touch from the princess sent shocks through his entire body. It did not help when Luna began to gently rub his chest, giving tickling sensations. It took everything he had not to squirm uncontrollably. The princess giggled at the panicking dragon.
You're so weird sometimes. You know that?
Spike just shook his head. He could hear his heartbeat racing. It was that strong.
So?
She slid herself into position.
Are you ready?
She had a devilishly seductive grin on her face as she let a single drop of drool drip down on the dragon's face. What is wrong with this pony? Thought Spike. Actually, Princess...
Please, just call me Luna.
Spike could feel her warm breath beating down on his face as she spoke. Luna, it's just that I've had a really long day and I'm really tired, so I was just gonna call it and get some sleep.
You're so cute when you're nervous.
She began to lower her head to his chest.
Maybe I should relieve you of your tension.
Oh, that's not good. What am I gonna do? Just say no to her. Are you crazy? You don't say no to a princess. Well, you can't cheat on Rarity. You don't think I know that? Oh, great. Now I'm talking to myself. I'm slowly becoming as insane as Conquest. He watched in horror as Luna had made her way down his body. Spike swallowed his pride, as he did something he never liked doing, but it seemed like the only way to get out of this situation. Luna, I have an idea. She stopped in her tracks, just inches above Spike's thighs.
Yes?
Well, I was thinking that maybe we could make things a bit more interesting.
And how would we do that, my sexy little dragon?
He had only hoped to buy time, but he needed to think of something. Some sort of distraction. His eyes darted around the room, looking for something he could use. A telescope? No, that's stupid. A book? Something told him that she wasn't in the mood to read. Her dresser? A dresser had clothes. That could work. Maybe could you dress up?
Dress up?
Yeah, that witch costume you wore last year on Nightmare Night was pretty hot. You could try that. Luna's eyes glowed with excitement.
Ooh, Spike, that's a great idea!
She got up from Spike and headed towards her dresser, opening it and levitating a skimpy-looking witch costume.
Is this what you wanted?
Yes! He was amazed that his plan was working. Now go into the bathroom and make a big entrance.
You got it. Be right back.
She took the costume and headed into the bathroom and closed the door. The second she closed it, Spike bolted up and ran to the window. I'm sorry, Princess, but I just can't cheat on Rarity, he thought as he opened the window, jumped out, and flew into the night. 5 asterisks! Ba-tika-tika. It had been 10 days since Spike had left for Canterlot, and every pony was getting worried. Twilight paced frantically around the library, flipping through her many books. It's been 10 days, Applejack. 10 days and not a single letter, the frustrated pony said, putting a book back on the shelf. Applejack was sitting on the floor eating an apple, while Twilight ran up and down the room, putting books away. Now calm down, Twilight. There's no need to get all worked up. We all miss the big dragon. Some more than others. They both looked towards Spike's bedroom. Rarity had decided to lock herself up in the room. The two ponies could still hear the faint sobbing of the white mare, crying over the loss of her dragon. I reckon one of us should go check up on her. She looked at Twilight. The unicorn shook her head. Don't look at me. Last time I went there, I almost didn't come back out. The cow pony just rolled her eyes. Fine, I'll go. She started to trot towards the bedroom. She slowly opened the door and entered. The snow-white mare laid on Spike's bed, sniffling as she looked up to see who was entering. Who's there? She wiped a few tears from her eyes. Hey, Sugar Cube. Applejack approached the pony. Rarity looked terrible. Her mane and tail was messy from lying in bed all day. Her mascara was ruined from her constant crying, and one of her extended lashes was stuck to her cheek. How y'all holding up? Oh, Applejack! She cried as she rolled over on the bed, facing the ceiling. How does the summer lily stand up against the coldness of winter? How does the glacier hold when faced with an undying heat? How does the... I get it, Sugar Cube. Y'all are sad, I get it. Oh, I'm sorry. I wasn't aware that your cold friend was whisked away in some sort of confrontation just moments after you proclaimed your undying love for him. Easy there, Nellie. I didn't mean it like that. All I'm saying is you've been cooped up in this here room for days. Rarity broke down in tears. Oh, I'm sorry, Applejack. It's just that everything reminds me of Spike. Well, of course. Y'all are in Spike's room, after all. But it's the only way I feel close to him. She pulled one of Spike's pillows close to her and embraced it. All I have is this pillow that smells like him. She pressed the pillow close to her as she inhaled its scent. Her voice trailed off as she walked out of the room, leaving Rarity to make out with Spike's pillow. Applejack carefully closed the door and turned around. Twilight was waiting for her. Well, how is she? The cow pony shook her head. I'm afraid it's worse than I thought. Really? How bad? She's making out with Spike's pillow. Oh. Just then, there was a knock at the door. I'll get it. She headed towards the door and opened it, revealing a gray Pegasus. Hey, Twilight! Derpy yelled, her eyes slowly drifting around her head. I have your mail. She dug her face into her saddlebag, grabbing a mouthful of letters, and handed it to Twilight. Thank you, Derpy. The mail mare happily flew away to continue the rest of her delivery. Twilight started to sift through the mail. Let's see here. Bill, ad, magazine. Spike sent me a letter! He did? Applejack peeked over Twilight's shoulder, who was ripping open the letter. Well, let's hear what he has to say. Twilight nodded in agreement as she unfolded the letter, and after clearing up her throat, she began. Dear Twilight, I'm sorry that it took so long to write back to you. I have to write and send these letters in secret, as you're not supposed to know what's going on. I don't want you to worry about me, but they're making me train with the Royal Army. It's actually not that bad, and I'm learning a lot. I was able to complete both sides of basic training and advanced training within a week. At the moment, I'm studying on foreign fighting styles. Did you know that the zebra war shield is actually as deadly as their spears? Anyway, this letter is getting long, and I need to get back to training. Just know that I love and miss all of you, especially Rarity, so please tell her that. We'll write back soon if I can. Spike. He's training in the army now. Why is he training for battle? You don't think something's wrong, do you, Applejack? I can't lie to you, Twi, but I can't imagine a situation where this isn't something wrong. That's not good. She looked at the door of Spike's room. Should we tell Rarity? Applejack shook her head. I reckon that wouldn't be wise. She ain't exactly in a stable mindset, and I'd rather not find out how she reacts to her lover getting drafted into the military. I guess you're right. Twilight collapsed on the floor. Poor Spike. I can't even imagine what he's going through. 5 asterisks! Spike walked into the grand dining hall. It had been modified into a cafeteria for the many troops that now flooded into Equestria every day. Pegasus, unicorns, and earth ponies were packed into the room. The sound of chewing, slurping, and talking echoed through the halls. The conversations between the ponies were just common ones about war and which mare or stallion they would do. He mostly ignored it as he tried to find Duster. His bright pink and messy mane stood out from the rest of the ponies, so it was easy to find. He started to head in his friend's direction, but was stopped when he felt a hoof on his shoulder. "Hello, Spike." He turned around in shock to see none other than Princess Celestia. Afternoon, Princess. Is there anything I could do for you?" "There actually is. Would you come and eat with me and my sister? We have much to talk to you about." "Oh, He tried to tell her no, but the princess wouldn't hear of it. She pushed him towards the large table at the end of the hall. There sat a couple of unfamiliar ponies, along with Princess Luna, who smiled sinisterly at him. He hadn't exactly told any pony about what happened 10 nights ago between him and Luna, and thankfully she didn't seem to be mad at him. However, she seemed more eager than ever to get to him now, and it had been becoming more difficult to avoid her around the castle. "Please take a seat, Spike." The dragon looked around for an open seat. Unfortunately, the only seat that was free was right next to Luna.
You can sit next to me, Spike.
She patted the chair next to her. With a weak smile, the dragon slowly took a seat next to the night princess. "You see, Spike." Celestia took her seat at the head of the table. "Me and my sister would like to know a few things about Conquest." She corrected herself, calling her brother by his new name. "What? How do you know that I still see him?" "We're just concerned that he might be getting into your head. He may be insane, but his words still seem to carry an influence." "Well, Princess, I can assure you—" He stopped mid-sentence. He felt something rubbing against his leg. He looked down to see that Luna had started to rub her leg against his. He took a quick glance at the mare next to him. Luna was looking at her sister, but she still couldn't help but break out in a small smile. One of her eyes darted down, peeking under the table. She slowly lifted her hoof and began rubbing his thigh. The dragon bit down on his tongue to not squeal from the sensitive sensation. Princess Celestia looked at the shuddering dragon. "Are you okay? You seem to be twitching." "I'm fine." Luna's hoof had just grazed in between his legs. He shot up from the table. "Excuse me, I need to use the restroom." The dragon got up from the table and ran out of the dining hall. The bathrooms were just around the corner. He quickly jumped into one of the stalls in the colt's room and sat on the toilet. "What the crap was that?" he thought. The princess seemed to be extra frisky today, a lot worse than what she did a few days ago, when she slapped his ass when passing her in the hall. From the stall, he heard the door of the bathroom open. His heart beat heavily as the clopping sound of hoofs made its way closer to his stall. He lifted his legs to try to hide in his stall. Luna peeked her head above Spike's stall, a large sensual smile on her face.
Hey there, handsome. I got your message.
The dragon looked confused. "What message?" Luna gave a little chuckle before magically unlocking the stall door.
You know. Excuse me, I have to use the restroom.
She looked around the bathroom.
Not exactly what I had pictured for our first time, but I'm not too picky.
"What?" yelled the dragon in his mind. The princess kicked the stall door behind her and turned the lock. She then pressed her hooves against Spike, pinning him to the wall.
It's pretty dirty in here.
She pressed herself against Spike.
And it's about to get dirtier.
She moaned as she closed the gap between their lips. Spike's eyes shot open as he tried to find a way out of the stall, but there was very little room for him to make an escape. He thought about just throwing her off and busting through the doors, but that would cause a bit too much collateral damage. Luna pushed away from him.
Why are you always so quiet?
A sexy evil grin formed on her face.
Maybe I need to make you scream.
She started to lower herself slowly. Crap, 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 crap! The dragon thought. He wasn't going to be able to talk his way out of this one. He needed a miracle to save him. Luckily, his miracle had a full bladder. The door of the bathroom burst open as an unknown pony ran to the urinal and began to relieve himself.
Oh, you have got to be kidding me.
The two listened to the trickle of fluids leaving the pony. Eventually the sound stopped and the pony left the bathroom. So much for his miracle.
Now then, where were we?
The sultry princess asked, as she nibbled on Spike's lip, sending shivers through his body. The door of the bathroom opened again, and this time a voice called out. "Spike? You in there? It's Duster. Is everything alright, buddy?" "Thanks, Celestia." "Yeah, I'm in here, Duster," the dragon called out. The guard pony walked up to the stall and knocked on the door. "You sure you're okay in there?"
He's fine!
She quickly covered up her mouth from the sudden outburst. Duster peeked through the door slit of the stall. "Wait, is that the princess?" She kicked down the door of the stall, knocking the pony back. Luna walked out looking absolutely furious. She glared at the fallen pony.
You don't tell a soul about me and Spike or else. My sister sends ponies to the moon. I send them to the sun. Do you understand me?
Yes, princess. Luna stormed out of the bathroom, slamming the door behind her. Duster looked over to the dragon, who was awkwardly walking out of the stall. The pony got a big, stupid smile on his face. What? Duster got up and raised his hoof. You and the princess? Nice! Not exactly. What do you mean? I'd do anything to be with her. And I'd do anything to get out of it. Really? Don't take this the wrong way, but are you crazy? We're talking about Princess Luna here. It doesn't matter. I'm in love with a different pony. Thoughts of Rarity popped up in his head. He feared how she would react if she ever found out about this, but he wasn't going to do anything wrong, was he? They haven't done anything more than kiss, and it was never his idea. But the more he thought about it, the dirtier he felt. Well, then why don't you tell her that you're just not interested? I'll take your place. And get sent to the sun? I don't think so. Well, I'm sure you'll figure something out. The pony smiled. Come on, lunch is almost over, and I'd actually like to get something to eat. Spike nodded in agreement as the two headed out and back into the mess hall. 5 asterisks! 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yes. Later that night, Spike headed into his room and locked the door. After what had happened during lunch, he wanted to take every precaution. He jumped into his bed and got comfortable, because he knew the second that he closed his eyes, 5 asterisks would happen. No. He would awake in the darkness of the Shadowlands. He had grown used to the darkness, and he made his way down the same trek to find Conquest, and to see what fresh hell he had planned tonight. He had found the shadowy alicorn sitting by a window that only showed more darkness. Conquest glanced at the dragon and turned back to the window. He gave a heavy and slightly loving sigh.
I dreamt of Maris again, Spike. It was the first time we made love. Do you remember, Spike?
Do I remember the first time that you made love? No.
I remember it so clearly, Spike. The star-studded night, the crisp green grass, the way you lowered me onto the ground, nipping at my ear, telling me that you were all mine.
Excuse me? Did you say that I did all this? Conquest gave a toothy grin.
Of course, you silly dragon. The way you took me was a moment of pure emotional bliss. Shame of you for not remembering.
Sorry for not remembering having sex with you. He was growing tired of this stupid joke.
Sing me our song.
I'm sorry, what? He was confused at the alicorn's request.
You know, I'll take you to the candy shop. I'll let you lick my lollipop. Go ahead, Spike, don't you stop. Keep on going till you hit that fucking spot.
He poofed next to Spike, his face dangerously close to the dragon's.
Oh, kiss me, you fool.
Before the dragon could interject, the alicorn had locked his lips with the dragon. Spike's face flushed red, startled as what Conquest had just done. After 15 seconds of the dark pony trying to stick his tongue in the dragon's mouth, he finally parted. Conquest smirked, his shadowy tongue hanging out of his mouth, dripping heavily with dark saliva.
What, no tongue?
Spike fell to the ground, gagging and wiping his mouth clean, trying to get any trace of the stallion out of his mouth.
Well, well, well.
A voice called from behind him. He looked behind to see Conquest? But Conquest was right in front of him.
What's this I see? A dragon trying to make out with me.
Whoa, what? He looked at both ponies. Sure enough, there were 2 Conquests before him. The Conquest that had kissed him raised him from the ground and smiled at him.
Now, Spike.
He fluttered his eyes. They slowly turned from blood red to plasma green as he walked up to his double.
Confused?
A little.
Good.
He turned to his other self. The two stared deep into each other's eyes as they started to kiss each other, slipping each other's tongue into each other's mouth in a mixture of shadowy drool and bliss. Spike clenched his eyes shut. This is so wrong!
Hey, it's not gay if it's with yourself. It's basically masturbation.
He then resumed the kiss with himself. Spike clutched his eyes even tighter. Call it whatever you want, I don't want to look at it! Red-eyed Conquest sighed.
I think we've had our fun, dear,
he said to his green-eyed counterpart. He smiled as his body burst into bright green flames, engulfing his entire body. When the flames cleared, the decayed Queen of Changelings stood by Conquest's side. Crystal smiled as she wiped her turquoise hair out of her face.
Well,
It sure was fun while it lasted.
She looked at the shocked dragon.
You know, you're a great kisser, Spike.
But you are... How did... What?
I'm a changeling, Spike. That's what we do. You're not very bright, are you?
No, he isn't.
Conquest started twisting and turning Chrysalis as the two danced around the dragon.
I'd say he was as dumb as a rock, but I fear he may have the brain of an ant.
I'm an ant,
Yes.
said the alicorn, dipping the queen as they danced.
You see, a rock cannot think, but an ant can't think for itself. Much like you, my scaly friend.
The two continued to dance, swaying in a circular motion as they seemed to levitate from the ground and higher into the darkness.
An ant is a slave, a peon, always following the commands of their betters, from their rulers, their masters, their mere friends.
The dragon frowned as the two of them just laughed at him.
Now, Spike, how many times did she let you put yourself in danger for her? How many times did you clean her shop, or run an errand for this so-called element of generosity?
The words echoed through Spike's head, but he quickly shook it off. I like being helpful, something that's lost on you two.
Ants are a nuisance, not helpful. Silly Philly thinks too much of himself. That's why I'd prefer to think like a rock. Not at all.
Why?
Because thinking is boring and no fun at all. I may be criminally insane and homicidal, but that's the price I pay for happiness. And I will happily pay for it every time. Because unlike you, Spike, I already know what it's like to think. To serve a higher power. To serve the bigger ant in a colony. Looking back at it, I wish I would have slit my own throat for being such an ant. But then I was blessed. My ant-like brain was squashed by the rock, and I was free.
He raised his head with a sick sense of pride.
Free to do anything I wanted, go anywhere, eat anything, kill any pony I wanted. Believe me when I say I killed a lot. Ironically with a few rocks, and with a few ants.
He grinned grimly at that last part, as if he was reliving that terribly delightful memory. I've said it before and I'll say it again. You're crazy! Conquest slowly shook his head as he snickered.
Someday you'll understand what I mean, dragon. Someday I'll squish your ant with my large and mighty rock.
I don't understand.
Story time!
He dropped Chrysalis as he flung his hooves in the air with excitement.
Due to time constraints, what with the war and all, I'm going to skip ahead a few years. So to catch you up, Spike, I went steady with Symphony. We grew up a little bit. We found the elements of harmony under the couch. I invented chocolate. Discord came. He turned me into a sofa, and my sister turned him into a statue, which I later whizzed on. And then I fought in the Dragon Liberation Wars, which brings us to my return home.
5 Astraces! It was late in the evening when Curator's ship sailed in. It docked up next to the harbor where many ponies stood waiting for its arrival. A ramp lowered onto the docks, followed by a herd of happy guard ponies, all happy to see their loved ones again. Among these tired but cheerful ponies was Curator, adorned in his royal onyx-colored armor. He got off the ship and looked around. It warmed his heart to see all the happy couples reunited after years of terrible war and battle. But there was a dark lining to all this happiness. For every happy couple he saw, for every reunited family, there was a mare waiting for a stallion that would never come home. It filled his heart with grief as he had to go to each new widow and inform them of their loved ones passing. One by one, he had watched wives, mothers, and children sob and cry as he told them their husbands, sons, or daddies weren't coming home, that they had lost their lives in the fight for freedom. He watched as the ponies started to leave, either in happiness or in sorrow. As the dock started to empty, he noticed that there seemed to be no one there to greet him. Celestia and Luna knew he was coming today, but where could they... Zap! His flank burned with an electrifying sensation as he jumped in an undignified shriek of pain. He turned around to see his two sisters, Luna lying on top of a dark storm cloud. She jumped off her cloud and tackled her brother, hugging him tightly around his neck.
Curator! Oh, thank goodness you're alive!
Tears were rolling down her eyes.
I was so worried of you. Don't ever leave me again.
Good to see you too,
Moaned Curator, quickly running out of breath. Celestia just smiled at the two on the ground. It's good to have you back, brother. I assume everything went well.
It's war, sister.
He pulled himself up from the ground, Luna still having a hold around his neck.
It never goes well.
But we did win, is all I'm wondering.
We managed to drive the dragons off to the Badlands, and I was able to rework the truce between us. Much better than the one our old teacher put together. May we bless his soul.
There was a moment of silence before Celestia finally answered. So how many did we lose? Curator lowered his head and Luna finally let go of him.
Too many. Do you know the heartbreaking feeling of telling a mare that her husband won't be coming home? The soul-crushing sound of foals crying over the loss of their father? I don't think I'll ever get used to the misery of other ponies.
That's so sad, brother.
She wiped some of her tears away.
But you're such a great pony. You saved millions of lives.
Curator smiled at his little sister.
Thanks, Luna.
He smiled at the little filly, who smiled right back at him.
Anyway, so how's Symphony? I thought she'd be waiting for me here.
Luna's smile faded.
Oh, she had a recital last night, so she might be at her house. Why do you ask? I thought you'd spend time with us.
And I will.
He scrunched up his sister's starry mane.
But I have something really important to do first.
What could be more important than us?
This.
He reached his head into his saddlebag.
I wanted to surprise you guys, but I can't hold it in anymore.
He pulled his head out of the bag. In his mouth was a large shiny gold ring, with many jewels in the shape of a blooming flower as the rock.
I'm going to ask her to marry me.
Oh my gosh! She had a wide grin on her face as she hugged her brother. I'm so happy for you two!
Thanks, sis.
He patted her on the back before parting with her.
Now if you two will excuse me, I have a mare to propose to.
He started to trot into town. He happily walked around the town. It had changed so much in only a few short years. The castle had been finished, the roads had been paved for easier walking, and he had heard the new diverse colonies were springing up everywhere. He truly lived in a great time. He looked back at the ring. When he was in the trenches of war, he realized that life was too short to not spend the time with the ones you love. He loved Sweet Symphony, and within a few moments, they would be engaged. He approached her house. It was a normal cottage, just like every other house in town. But once they were engaged, she would definitely live with him in the castle. He knocked on the door, his heart racing with anticipation. The door of her house slowly opened. The sleepy pink mare yawned as she rubbed her eyes. Ah, who's knocking at this unholy hour?
Hey, sweetie.
Her heart stopped at the sound of his voice. She opened her eyes wide. Curator, is that really you? He smiled.
The one and only.
I wasn't expecting you. She was still shocked by his appearance.
Well, I just got in a little while ago, but there was something really important I needed to ask you.
He got ready to pull out the ring. Listen, honey. She was shifting in her spot. I'm so happy you're back, but can't it wait till morning? I'm really tired.
It's really important, and I think I need to do it now.
Curator, please. Can we please do this in the morning? Go home, and I'll meet you at the castle first thing.
Okay.
He was confused by the way she was acting.
Can't I just stay here with you? I'm exhausted and I just want to crawl up next to you tonight.
No! She quickly blushed as she realized how loud she was. It's not a good time. There was the sound of a door opening coming from behind Symphony. Hey, babe. Is everything all right? A voice called from behind her. I heard you scream.
Who was that?
A large green stallion walked through the bedroom door. He seemed to be tired but eager. Come back to bed, Symphony. I got a new instrument for you to try. Who's that guy?
I was going to ask you the same question.
I'm her cult friend.
That's impossible! I'm her
It hit him like a brick wall. He turned to Symphony, who was beginning to break into tears.
You cheated on me?
Curator. She started. Her words were broken up by her sniffles as she tried to hold back her tears. I thought you were dead. You said the war would only be a year. I waited for you every day at the docks that year. And when you didn't show up, I still waited. Years later, I was still waiting for you. But you never came back. I thought you were killed. I thought some dragon had killed you. She was crying in full-blown tears by now. I moved on, Curator. I'm sorry, but I'm with 3-Tac now. The world was still for Curator. He could feel his heartbeat slow down as each word spoken from Symphony struck him like a spear to the chest. He had waited so long to propose to her. It was the only thing that kept him going when he was fighting the dragons. The thought that there was some pony to return home to. A pony that loved him back was the only reason to fight. He fought to keep her safe, and their future children safe, and their children after them. He felt a tear roll down his face. He lifted the ring from the bag, a ring so beautiful, just like her. He threw it to the ground. He wanted nothing to do with it anymore. He didn't want to be around anyone, so he ran off, away from the apologetic mare and her new lover, away from this stupid town, and away from the ponies, and into the Everfree Forest. And that was Chapter 8 of For the Ones We Love, or Chapter 8, The Lovers. Story is emotionally draining, I'll tell you that much. So good, though. In any case, thank you all for listening. Again, the link will be in the description if you want to check out the story for yourself, as well as a link to Brad's channel, who's been helping me out with these chapters. Remember to show your support by liking it, and leave a comment, or leave your comments and shit down in the description to let me know what I need to improve on, what you liked in the reading, or what you would like to see in the future, as well as new suggestions for new stories or other video ideas. So, I'm done. My voice is done. I have some Powerade and some chicken and a brisket to attend to, sponsored by, not really. So I'll be doing that and editing these today. So hopefully we'll get one out like I usually. Okay, real quick. I'm gonna try to get these out because I couldn't do shit this last week. I'm gonna try to get these out like every Monday and Friday, or Monday and Wednesday, or Monday and Saturday. So you could look for these like Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, or Saturdays. In any case, I'm done with my usual rambling. I hope you all enjoyed. Have a fantastic day, and I will see you in the next reading. Peace.